hello, voice of admin, and hello, clanners. More to the point, it's great to be with you. I'm a bit nervous. So if any of you are nervous, you have company. But I think the thing to remember, I mean, I'm not going to say don't be nervous because I always think that's completely useless. But I think the thing to remember is we're all non-judgmental here. We're all rooting for everybody else, not critical. So nobody can mess up because we're in the clan.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's absolutely right. We're all one big, global clan, actually, this afternoon. Yeah. Yes. Now, it looks like the sound is working really well. So, I tell you what, why don't we call one of the clanners? Here we go. Hello, Rexy, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Hello, Rexy, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
I'm pretty good, actually. It's very good to hear you. Which country are you in?
England.
You're in England, are you? Well, that's not too far away from where we are at the moment. Now, Michelle is listening, and she'd love to chat to you.
Hello, Rexy. Good to meet you
Michelle.
online. Hi. It's great to meet you online.
How many books have you read, Rexy?
I've read 5. I haven't read the last one yet.
Oh,
well, that's really useful to know. So thanks for telling me that, Rexy, because I'm going to have to be careful about spoilers. Because of course I finished Ghost Hunter last year, so thanks for warning me about that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's brilliant, and it's good to know. It's nice to know that someone's still in the story. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me, or?
Well, since I haven't read the last book yet, I don't know if any of my questions will be answered.
Sure.
But yeah, how do you say Eostra? Is it Eostra, the Eagle Mage?
Yeah, I tend to say Eostra rather than Eostra. So Eostra with the stress on the last syllable. Yeah, Eostra. As if it's but it doesn't matter too much. Most people are so scared when she's around that they kind of squeak anyway.
Does she get defeated in the end?
Well, I'm not going to spoil the story for you. She certainly plays a major part in the story. She is obviously the main soul eater in the story. And just to tell you a bit about why I say Eostra, she's actually that name I got from Anglo-Saxon. There's a very scary Anglo-Saxon, that is Old English, goddess, who I got the name from. And actually, it's also the name where we get the name Easter from, although there's no relation between the two, between Eostra, the nasty soul eater, and Easter. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you, but Eostra certainly comes into it and causes some major aggravation. So a good guess.
Well, Rexy, you got a real treat in store actually with the last book in this series. When do you think you're going to read it?
As soon as I can buy it from the shop, because every bookshop I've been into hasn't got it.
Oh.
And I can't find it anywhere. I've looked on Amazon, but my mum won't order it from PayPal, so it's a bit awkward.
Oh, that's going to be difficult for you then, isn't it?
Well, you might want to get one of the bookshops to order it for you or something like that. Maybe Waterstones will or something. But I've had that. It's tricky.
They will. Don't you keep trying? It's
you
it's
will
worth
hunt it down, I'm sure.
Thank you very much, Rexy. Very good to talk to you. Stick around because we have lots and lots of really exciting things happening just a little bit later on. This is the biggest clancast of the lot. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, Rexy, at this point.
Good talking to you, Rexy.
But do stay online. Now then, I've got a question for you, Michelle, that Wolferin has sent in. It sounds like a number of people, but it's actually one person. Wolferin says, in my time now, that's her time zone, I'm 12 hours behind or in front, but either way, it's either too early or too late. Here's my question. When you're writing a story, where do you go? Do you have a quiet place that you go to? I enjoy writing too, but I can never find the right place to be in a writing frame of mind. Please help.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Well, I don't have a very quiet house. I have a little house on quite a busy road in Wimbledon in England. So I have two places. I have a little study, which is basically my second bedroom, which overlooks the main road. And that's nice because it's full of seal skins and reindeer antlers and things like that. And so that the objects help me write. And if it gets too noisy, I put earplugs in. But if it's very, very noisy, then I go into my bedroom, which is at the back, and that overlooks the back garden where there are squirrels and all sorts of things happening. So it's a tricky one about noise. I know what you mean. I do recommend earplugs. They can help if you've got a pneumatic drill drilling up the pavement, as I did this summer outside my house for 6 weeks. But also some objects that you feel comfortable with. I mean, I've got lots of toy wolves and pictures of real wolves, things that, you know, not just the sound is important, but also what's around you. That can help you.
Very nice.
So
Okay,
good
well,
luck with that one.
let's try talking to another clanner now. This is going to be Boom Bam, I hope. Hello, is that Boom Bam?
Hello.
Hello, is that Boom Bam?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic. Hello.
Where are you?
Hello. I live in France.
You live in France. Excellent.
Well,
Yeah.
you're talking to Michelle.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
First, excuse me for my bad English.
It's brilliant English, much better than my French.
Thank you. I read that you work on a new book which will be set in a prehistoric time, like Chronicle of the Ancient Darkness. Do you particularly love this time?
I do like prehistory. Just to be a little bit clear, it's a new series I'm working on, and yes, I like prehistory. Basically means before there was written history, and so for a writer, a storyteller, that's lovely because it means you've got much more freedom. You don't know that much about what went on. So I do like that period. Also, I think it's because there were fewer people, there was more wildlife, more scope for adventure, much more wild country, and I like that too. But I should say that the new series will be in a slightly, it's still prehistory, so you're right about that, but a slightly later time and a different part of the world from Thorax. So we're moving south a little bit. In fact, I've just come back from a research trip there. I've been for 3 weeks somewhere else, but I better not say too much. But yes, I do. Also, I think the magic, that adds something, you know, and religion was part of people's daily lives in prehistory. And so that really makes it very exciting. So yes, I love that. I love that period.
Okay. And I want to ask you, how do you find the name of your characters?
That's really difficult. Basically, I make them up, but it took days, weeks at the beginning of Wolf Brother to just work out different sounds that sounded like old languages, Old English, Inuit, the language the Eskimo speak. And then it's basically just playing around and seeing if they fit the character. And it's quite a good test sometimes to think, well, you know, can I remember the name that I made up for that character, you know, a couple of days ago? And if you can remember it, that usually means it works. Now, some of them I didn't make up. I mean, Thiazi, the storm giant, the oak mage, is actually based on a Viking storm giant called Thiassi. I just changed his letters to Z. And Aostra, as I've explained, that's another one, an Anglo-Saxon goddess. So a few names are real, but mostly they're made up.
Okay.
Good.
Nice question.
Thank you very much, Boom Bam. It's really nice of you to call in from France.
Yes, thank you.
How many books in the
Thank
series
you
have you
to you.
read? Have you read all the books yet?
Yeah, but in French,
In
not in
French.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the one language I can actually check the translations, and they're pretty good translations. So
Cool.
they've done a very good job.
Fantastic. Good talking to you. Stick around, Boom Bam, because we've got lots of very, very interesting things happening in just a few minutes.
Good talking to you.
Now then, who should we talk to now? I know. Let's speak to Claire Bear, shall we? Here we go, Claire Bear. Hello, is that Claire Bear?
Yeah, it is.
Hello, you're talking to Michelle.
Hello, Claire Bear. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can.
Excellent.
Where are you?
Sorry?
Where are you?
Which country are you calling from?
Great Britain.
Sorry, what was that? You're a little bit faint.
Sorry. United Kingdom.
Aha, United Kingdom, as are we. Excellent. Okay, so do you have any questions or
What would you
Yeah,
like to
comments?
say?
Yeah, how did you come up with the idea for your stories?
Yeah, how did I come up with the idea for the stories? That's the big question, isn't it? In a way, I wish I knew. But the stories come in bits and pieces. And partly with me, it's always, what do I feel like writing about? And there came a time when I wanted to write about a boy and a wolf. Well, why did I want to do that? Well, that's partly because when I was perhaps younger than you, when I was 10, I wanted a wolf. I was really keen on wolves, and I was really keen on the Stone Age. So that sort of stuff that you're really keen on when you're a kid stays with you. And a bit later, when I was grown up, I had a really terrifying encounter with a bear. I was in the the southern part of America, in the mountains, walking, and I encountered this black bear with 2 small cubs. And it was a terrifying encounter. Obviously, I survived, as did the bear and the cubs, but that kind of stuck in my mind. And so all these different influences came together. So that gave me the idea for Wolf Brother. But maybe you were thinking in terms of, chapter by chapter, how do you come up with that? And that's just really hard work. I tend to plan it a lot, and I sit down and I try to work out what's going to happen next before I write it, because it does save you a lot of time. So I've given a slightly mysterious answer to that question, which is a good question, because writing is quite mysterious. So you can never be quite sure how you come up with the story.
I'd say I'm a really big fan.
Excellent. That's great to know. Have you read all the books?
Oh yeah, and my parents have too.
Oh, wonderful. Superb. So you can talk about it with them.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you have favourite characters?
Yeah, I like Ren
Mhm.
because she's really brave. She's quite loyal to Torak.
She is, yes, but also quite critical, I think. She doesn't give him undying devotion, which is, I think, that's Ren all over, isn't it? Yeah. Did you find a bit which was the scary? Did you have a bit that was particularly scary? Sorry, I'm asking you questions. You should be asking me questions. But
It's fine. I think it was in the 5th book when he had I haven't read it quite a long time. When the Soul Eaters had Ren captured.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I was a bit worried about that too. Yes. No, I'm sorry. I've been asking you questions. If you have any other questions.
How long does it take you to write them?
Well, it takes about a year. Well, perhaps 10 months, because a couple of months, if you add it all up, I have to spend doing publicity, what they call publicity, which is sort of going to bookshops and signing books and talking at book festivals and things. But yeah, it sounds a lot, doesn't it? But, a whole year. But it's amazing. I'm quite a slow writer, I think, but I still have to do all the research. I have to, go to the places where I want the story to take place.
It must be an interesting job.
Well, that's quite fun, I have to say. That, is pretty fun. But then the hard stuff comes, which is actually writing the story. And the bit I hate is the first draft, when you've got blank paper and you've done all your research and the fun bit, and then suddenly you've got to get down to the basics of writing. But when I've done that, and that takes about 5 months or so, then I have what I call the rewrite. And that's really fun, because then I can, cut out the boring bits and tighten it up. Authors talk about tightening it up, which means not having so many words for the same amount of action, really. So, yeah, it takes a long time. And then I've got to go straight on to the next one. But it's terrific fun. Nothing like it.
Thank you very much, Claire. Stick around. We've got some really big news happening in just a few minutes' time now, but we do want to talk to 1 or 2 more people.
Bye-bye, Claire Bear.
I've got a question I want to ask you from Great Mountain Wolf, who says, I was always confused by how Eostra, the Eagle Owl Mage, we've already spoken about, didn't die in Book 3 when Torak threw that axe that hit a bunch of rock. The stone or rock came down and crushed her, so how did she survive? Is she the Eagle Owl Mage even human?
Oh, I see. Well, it doesn't say in Book 3, I can't quote the bit, that she's actually crushed. And when things happen, this is in the cave, isn't it, that it's all going on? I remember the bit, because I think that's the bit I wrote from Wolf's point of view, if I'm thinking of the right bit. This is book 3 we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when things happen in caves, you can get a stalagmite, which is the one that sticks up.
Yep.
That can fall down and look as if it's squashing you, but be slightly propped up against something. In the same way as in book 5, when Finkedin comes a cropper in that great big log fall, he doesn't actually get completely crushed.
Yes.
Because the log that's across his chest is sort of slightly propped up by something else. And that's probably what happened with Aostra.
Cool. Scar Wolf in
Good
the chat room.
question.
We've got a really busy chat room happening now, actually. And I'm going to try to relay stuff that's happening in the chat room to you, because I know you can't see this directly. Scar Wolf says, I think it's lovely that Michelle asks questions too.
Oh, good. I shall start doing it more often.
Yeah, so, phone in and let Michelle grill you.
Well,
See how
grilling
much
isn't
you
the
know.
word, but
Yes.
it's great to hear your views, actually. It really is. It's fantastic.
And Half-Blood Ryan says, Michelle is amazing.
Oh, this is Half-Blood Ryan. Hi. I was wondering when you were going to get in touch. That's great to hear.
Very nice. Okay, time for another call. We are calling CS Dogs, I think. Fingers crossed. Hello? Hello there. Is that Connor?
Yeah.
Hey, Connor. Good to hear you. In fact, I can see you too. Michelle can't see you, but I can. But Michelle can hear you. So...
Hello, Connor. How are you?
Good.
Are you calling from the UK, are you?
United States.
The United States. Okay. Excellent. What, East Coast, West Coast?
Midwest.
Midwest. Fantastic. Well, it's really nice to talk to you. Do you have a question, or would you like me to ask you questions?
Well, I haven't really had time to finish the last book yet.
Right.
Which book are you up to?
I've gotten to the last one.
Oh, good for you. But so I won't mention any spoilers about Ghost Hunter. This is very good to be warned of this. So we won't do about that. But have you been enjoying it so far?
Yeah. It's a really good series.
Excellent. Can I ask you, do you have a favourite of the books you've read so far? Because I always find that very interesting.
I'm not sure. I don't really have a favorite. They were all really good.
Good.
Well, Connor, thank you very much. If there's anything else you want to ask Michelle, you can do it now, or just hang around in the chat room, of course, because people are chatting there like mad. And I don't know if you're interested in what Michelle's next book is going to be by any chance, are you?
What are you going to do? Any more another series or just another book?
Well, basically, after I wrote Ghost Hunter, sorry, we're getting some interference on the line. I hope you can still hear. I have written another book, but that's a one-off book, which I'll be talking about a little bit later on. But now I'm working on another series, which is similar to Chronicles in that it's an adventure series. It's also set in prehistory, but a little bit later and a little bit further south. So it's not exactly Torak's time, and it's not with Torak and Ren and Wolf, because when you get to the end of Ghost Hunter, you'll know how that story finishes. But yes, I'm working on another series, which will be 5 books. But I'm going to have to be very mysterious about it for the moment, because I'm still, trying to work out the series. But good question.
Thank you very much, Connor. Very good to talk to you. Stick
Yes.
around in the chat room. There's a fantastic competition coming up that I think you may be interested in. Thanks for calling.
Great talking to you, Connor.
You too.
Okay, now then, I think there are a lot of people coming online now who want to
Wow.
talk to you. I've got a lot of questions here that people have sent in as PMs to Swift. And the chat room is really busy too.
I'm impressed. You're not all watching the football. That's really impressive.
I mean, let's not even talk about the football,
It's
shall we?
Italy against New Zealand at the moment,
dear,
or something like
yeah.
that.
Well, don't talk about England, please.
No, let's not talk about England.
Okay, look, in a few minutes' time, we are going to be doing 2 things. First of all, we are going to be telling people a bit more about Michelle's next book. And as you know from the clan, her publishers are so excited about this next book that they have made a short film to launch it, and it's going to get its premiere here, which means it's the first time it's ever been shown anywhere, because of course anything that's new to do with Michelle always comes to the clan first, because you are the most important people, really. There's no question about that. So in a few minutes time you're going to be seeing the premiere of this film, but also in addition to that, you may have seen something happening on the Clan quite recently called the Clan Virtual Museum, and you might have wondered what the heck that is. Well, we're going to tell you what it is, and we're also going to unleash on you the biggest competition the Clan has ever had. But before we do that, let's take another call. And I think this is going to England. I think this is Digi-Destined Girl, I think. Let's see, fingers crossed. It's ringing.
It is ringing.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hey, who am I talking to? Sorry, just say again, just your first name. No, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I think we've lost her.
Yeah, I think we've lost her. We'll try again in a moment, though. Don't worry about that. Right now, let's try another call to Dragonspawn. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Dragonspawn, yeah.
You all have great names.
Yeah.
I suppose I should think of a name.
That's the most difficult thing of the lot, actually.
It is, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. And who are we talking to?
Dragonspawn or Karotmai at the clan.
Karotmai.
Ah,
That's
yes,
cool.
I recognise that name. I recognise that name from the video competition.
And where are you?
You remember where? I'm in Slovenia. More accurate, my room.
You're in your room in Slovenia?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yes.
well, very good to
The
talk
Mets.
to you. Excellent. So
The same.
fantastic. So do you have you sound, I think you're an expert on the Chronicles, aren't you? Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask me?
Well, I have questions, but they are not really related to Chronicles.
Uh-huh.
My first question is, how do you write books? Do you write pieces by pieces, or you write from one end to another?
Well, that's a really good question. I do write from one end to the other. I start at the beginning and I go on till the end. To be a bit more detailed, I also plan. I not all writers plan. Some writers start at the end, and then they sort of go back. And I would get very confused if I did that. But I do like to plan it, so I work it out on one piece of paper, sort of roughly what's going to happen, and then I start at chapter 1, and I make sure that I don't reread chapter 1 until I've got all the way through to the end. So by the time I finish, I've forgotten what I wrote, and that's quite a good way of then coming to it fresh.
Well, I know that because I'm also writing.
I thought you might be. Yeah. Okay. So is that how you write? And do you like?
Yes.
Do you like to plan?
No, I don't plan because I'm not really good at sticking to plans.
Okay. Do you then go with the character, and you start with a character and just see what that character is going to do, or?
Well, it's usually a small idea. It might be a character, it might be a place which gives me the idea about the story.
Yes.
And then I go along with that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's also a good way of writing. Whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm someone who likes planning, but I know a lot of really good writers who don't. So that sounds excellent. Do you have any other questions?
No.
Your English, by the way, is amazing. It's really, really good.
Well,
So congratulations.
because they say that I have a Russian accent.
It's similar to Russian. I think it's slightly different. I know roughly what a Russian accent sounds like, and I think you sound slightly different. So I would, but I wouldn't have guessed Slovenia. And congratulations, by the way, on your football team. They did a very good job the other day. I happened to be watching that match.
Thank you.
They're really, really much better than we are at the moment. So there we go. But well, look, really great to talk to you. And good luck with the writing.
Thanks, and good luck with writing to you too.
Thank you. I need it as much as you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen Meyer. Really good to talk to you. Okay, now I've got quite a few more written questions. Actually,
Right.
there's a great letter really from Dodger, which is very beautifully written. It's so long, I'm not going to read it all out. I'm just going to show it to you.
Well, I'll read it afterwards to myself, so that I will.
Because you haven't seen this yet, and I do want you to read it.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
will.
really nice letter. He's asking quite a few questions. I'm just going to ask you one or two. And the first one is very simple. How are Baal and Torak kinsmen?
How are Baal and Torak kinsmen?
Yes.
Now,
That's your first question for 5
that
points.
is quite a tricky question. Well, Torak is a kinsman with all of the Seal clan because, and I'm going to get this wrong, I'm sure, and I haven't got my notes with me, but Torak, I think it's through his father. Oh, am I getting this right? Yes. His father, one of Far's parents was Seal clan. And I can't remember which one it was. I think Far's father was Wolf clan and the mother was Seal clan. I think that's it. I'll have to check So anyway, and that basically means that, it's a very good question, that Torak is kin with all of the Seal clan.
Got it. Wolf Brown the Charim says Baal is my favourite character. Second question.
I can understand that.
Yeah, second question. What is the difference between the name soul, the clan soul, and the world soul?
Well, the name soul, which is sort of the seat of it, is here in the head, is like your personality. It's like you, who you are. So my name soul is Michelle. The clan soul is like your sense of morality. It's because you're part of a clan, unless you're Torak, you have a sense of right and wrong. And then the world soul is that bit of you which is connected with the souls of everything else in the world, with the rivers, the mountains, with wolves, with other people. So that's the basic setup of the souls. Good,
Cool.
Nice one.
Yeah, okay. Now then, what we're going to do now, everyone, is we are going to tell you the first big surprise of the afternoon. There are two big surprises, right? And the first one is all about the clan virtual museum.
Yes.
Now, you've seen bits and pieces of this go online in the past few days. Watch this video now. Fingers crossed the audio works, because we had a little bit of problems with the audio earlier. Watch this video, then we're going to tell you a little bit more about it. Yes, that is the clan virtual museum.
Gosh,
Now,
that got me quite tearful, actually.
oh wow.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Now, I got to say, you've got the most intelligent readers in the world, because in the chat room, Michael has already worked out that exactly what those images were, and of course they were the images from the very first book, from Wolf Brother, the chapter opening images from Wolf Brother. And Kelly Malik has already worked out, and we haven't told anyone, what the virtual museum is going to be. And Kelly Malik says, like the wiki, yeah, it is like the wiki, but like a museum with things on display. And that's exactly what we would like you to do. We're going to turn this into a contest. There are going to be 2 age groups, over 13 and under 13. We're going to have 10 fantastic prizes in each category, which means 20 real knockout prizes. We know what some of the prizes are at the moment. Others we're not quite sure about, but they will be the best prizes we've ever put together for a clan contest. And what we want you to do is to make something from the series, an object from the series. Now, what sort of object? Well, Michelle can show you some objects in a moment or two. It might be something that you make physically over the next 6-8 weeks or so, because it's going to be a contest for you to do over your summer break. It might be something physical that you can then photograph and upload and stick into the Clan Virtual Museum together with a little description, and it will then be there forever and ever as an object that you made and put into the museum, as a memento, really, of a series of books that that you loved, and thousands and millions of people all over the world did too. So that's really a little bit of history. You're part of creating a little bit of history. It might be something else, though. It might be, I don't know, something that is completely virtual. Maybe you're good at 3D modeling. Maybe you can make an object in 3 dimensions, something that only exists online. Maybe it would be a piece of flash animation if you're good at that. There's no limit, really. It could be anything. The only criteria is that you've got to be able to upload it into the clan, write a little description of it, put it in the right category, and it will be there forever. And as I say, the top 20, that's the 10 in 2 age groups, over 13 and under 13, the top 20 will be getting fantastic prizes. Now, let's kick off by asking Michelle to put some objects, some real physical objects that she's going to show you in a moment. We're going to photograph them later on after the clancast. They will be the first objects to go into the virtual museum. Michelle has already written up a description of them, and it might inspire you to make your own. Michelle.
Well, I just had a quick look around my study and just collected a few things that I thought might, inspire you, or just you might find interesting, because that's the whole point of the museum. I'm going to try to hold them up in front of the other camera so you can see them, but don't worry, there will be better pictures going on the museum. Any of you who've been to one of my festival talks, you may even have tried these on yourself. Can we bring in camera 2?
Yep, it's on now.
You see it? Okay, I can't see it, but as long as you... These are reindeer hide mittens, which I got in the Arctic. They're made by the Inuit, and they're sewn with sinew, just the way... And they're almost exactly... Well, they are exactly the same as what Torak and Wren would wear in the winter. So they'd wear them, when it's cold in Wolf Brother, throughout the whole of Soul Eater, and in Ghost Hunter. So that's item 1 in the museum. There's another little thing. It's a rather beautiful, smallish knife made out of reindeer antler, again, made by the Sami. And I particularly like this because I don't know if you can see the hilt. It's got something that looks like brown string round it, and that's actually pine root, very thin pine root, which has been split. And there's a little sun symbol on the blade. Now, this is probably a ceremonial knife. It was made by the Sami in northern Norway. And in Torak's time, it's too small for carving up, a carcass or something, but it's kind of ceremonial. So that's a nice item. Something which is actually from the Stone Age. This is an axe head. That's the cutting edge. As you can see, it's quite fat in the middle to give it plenty of heft.
Nice.
It would have had a mount, a shaft, an axe handle down this side. And I've tried to explain in the description that this is just the right size for Torak at the beginning of Wolf Brother, because the way you measure an axe head to suit yourself is that it has to be the length from the bottom of your hand to the tip of your finger, your middle finger. So if you can see, this axe is too small for me, but it's just the right size for Torak at the beginning of Wolf Brother.
Nice.
Now, it's not all stuff that I got on my travels. This is something a clanner gave to me, and I've had it on my desk in my study for the last few years. I'm afraid I can't remember which festival it was. I think it was either Edinburgh or Hay, but a young man gave it to me. He made it, and I'm really impressed by that. I think it's slate. It's not flint, so that needs a different technique from flint knapping, and it's a little knife, and I think it's really beautifully made. I couldn't do as well, so thank you, whoever made that. I've still got it. And finally, this is something that I don't tend to take out with me to festivals because I don't want to lose it. And this is what gave me the idea for Torak's medicine horn.
Wow.
It is a medicine horn. It's not Stone Age, it's from South Africa. I had an eccentric aunt who used to send me presents, and 40 years ago she sent me this. It used to belong to a witch doctor.
Jeez.
And I sketched it when I was writing Oathbreaker and sent the sketch to Jeff Taylor, the artist who illustrates the chapter openers. And chapter 38, I'm just turning it up now in Oathbreaker. There we are. That's a picture of Torak's medicine horn. So now you've seen the original. And just as a final thing, this morning I thought I'd do something special, which I haven't done before. And so I filled the medicine horn, I'm going to try to get this right, with a bit of earth blood. Because some of you, I'm sure, just wonder what on earth blood is. Now, I'm not sure if you can see, because if I tilt this, it's all going to come off the... Can you see it?
Yep. A little bit higher.
It's sort of reddish powder, dark red powder. I'll put a little bit more on, and then I'll draw a death mark on me.
What?
I know, but don't worry, it's not going to be a valid death mark, because I'm not going to do it in the right place. I shall draw it on my hand, on the back of my hand. There we are, and then I can show you. It's not a very good death mark, but there
Whoa!
So that's what it looks like. It's quite easy to draw.
That's scary.
It also means I'm going to have to get some tissues out or something, because I'm going to be covered. This stuff gets everywhere. So there you are. That's my contribution to the virtual museum.
That's
Torak's,
amazing. That's
Torak's medicine
amazing.
horn complete with earth blood or red ochre. But I think, you don't have to have authentic Stone Age stuff. I know I've seen pictures in some of those videos in the video competition. Some of you made the most amazing masks. And thank you. I'm being handed a loo roll by the admin to wipe off this.
Yeah, get that death mark off you
Get
right
this
away.
Death mark off me. Masks, pictures. I've seen some amazing artwork when I've gone and done festivals and things and talks in schools. Whatever you feel like, no pressure.
amazing.
Or you might just want to enjoy what other people are doing. No pressure.
I think that's extraordinary. They're fantastic objects to kick off the collection. Now, we're going to talk to a couple of clanners. One is Grey Fur, who I hope is online now. Can you hear me, Grey Fur?
Yeah, I can.
Fantastic. And Half-Blood Ryan, are you there? Half-Blood Ryan, are you around? Yeah. You are. Fantastic.
Excellent.
Okay.
Hello. Long time no speak.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
It's been a long time. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all, thank you. Yeah,
Just getting
really
the
good.
death marks off.
Still scrubbing away at the death mask. It's sort of coming off now, but oh dear.
So, Grey Fur, do you think you're going to be taking part in this contest?
What contest? I think I wasn't informed.
Okay, well, we've just been talking about it. It's the Clan Virtual Museum, and we want you to create an object from the series and put it into the museum, and there are going to be 20 prizes for the 20 best entries.
Well, maybe
Possible.
we'll give you a bit of
Of course I
time
will
to think
take
about
part.
that, maybe.
Yeah, of course I will take part.
Fantastic.
Where are you calling from? Which country are you calling from, Greyfer?
Germany.
I thought so,
Germany.
yes. Excellent. Well, welcome. Good to talk to you. So,
Yeah.
do you have a question, Greyfer, that you'd like to ask?
Yes, I do. How long did it take you to write the individual books?
Well, each book took about 10 to 12 months, something like that. Quite hard work, actually, because you lot are quite demanding, and I knew I had to deliver a book a year, and not be too late with them. So the way it works is that, to begin with, in the early part of the year, it's all nice and I can go on research trips. And in the summer, it's not too much pressure and I'm still writing the first draft. And then as the autumn comes on, I think, I've got this deadline, because my deadline's always Christmas. And so by the time Christmas comes round, I know I'm not going to make the deadline. I'm usually writing about, 7 or 8 hours a day. And so for the last 8 Christmases or so, I've kind of worked through Christmas. But it's really fun at that stage, because then you're working very, very hard and you're totally in the story. You're not really doing anything but living the adventure with Torek and Ren and Wolf. So yes, it's about a full year. And then of course there's all the choosing the covers and all the illustrations with Jeff Taylor. So and it probably takes you. I mean, how long does it take you to read each book, Grafer?
About half a day.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm really pleased. That's actually my aim. I'm trying to. It takes me a long time.
It's the best book. These are the best books I've ever read. I read many books.
Fantastic.
It's really the best.
That's superb.
Love.
Have you read all of them?
Of course, all of them.
Well, I'm delighted. That's very encouraging to me as I go on to the next series. That's fantastic. So Half-Blood Ryan, have we got a question from you? Because it's a while since I've talked to you. Are you still there?
Half-Blood Ryan, are you around still? Maybe we've lost him. I don't know. Anyway, look, we've got a lot more people to talk to. But guys, do stick around still, please, because we've got a big video and an announcement to make in a few minutes' time about Michelle's next book.
Well, good talking to you, Grafer.
Absolutely.
And to you, briefly, Half-Blood Ryan. Okay.
Okay, now, there's a question that's really appropriate now from Mage John. There are 2 questions. They're really closely linked. And Mage John says, where did you get the idea of the sign of the hand? Because in the National Museum of Norway, up in Oslo, they've got a rock that is basically the sign of the hand on it. It's even got 2 bars above the middle finger.
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's a modern carving, but it would be interesting to know if you'd seen it. Though just my mum's just say that it could be a copy of an original. So that's his first question. His second question is really similar.
Can we? Because I always forget the questions if you run them together. So can I
sure.
answer the hand one
Absolutely,
first? Otherwise,
yeah.
I will forget. I've got a rubbish memory. That's fascinating. I didn't know that in the National Museum in Norway, which I love, by the way, I didn't know there was that sign of the hand. The idea where I got it from, was definitely a rock, a Norwegian, either Norwegian or Swedish, Stone Age rock carving. And I haven't seen the original, but I've seen it in a book, and you're right. It's exactly, that exact hand with the 3 lines of power emanating from the middle finger. So I suspect what has happened is that someone has copied the original Stone Age rock painting and put that copy in the museum in Norway. So great to know that, because next time I shall make a point of going to see it. So yes, I have used that. And also, of course, there are many other cases, going way back before Torek's time, of handprints on cave walls, sometimes when you can actually see the fingerprints. So it's a very ancient thing.
Next question, really closely related. How do you make the sign of the hand? Do you hold up your hand, or do you draw the shape of a hand in the air?
Well, I love these questions because I haven't been asked them before. The quickest way is just to hold up your hand. And that's a sort of almost universal symbol in Torek's time. If you want to make it more permanent, more lasting, that's when you can maybe dip your palm in the earth blood I was showing you. If you added a bit of water to that, you saw how sticky it was. My hand is still covered in it. You could do that and then put it on, I don't know, a tree or a rock, and that would last a bit longer. Or if you wanted to make it really permanent, you could then hammer etch it in, which is sort of carving. So lots of different ways in which you can do it.
Cool, excellent.
Yeah.
Let's try another call. This time why don't we try Norway?
Yes.
Fingers crossed. Hello.
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 Hi. This is Maze John again. You were just answering the question there, but I've got one more though.
Fantastic. Excellent. Excellent. Whereabouts in Norway are you?
We're down south of Oslo.
You're in Oslo.
I think my sister's going.
Okay.
Yeah, my sister, because you've already answered 2 of my questions.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, whoever wants to ask a
Ready?
question.
Yeah. How are they planning to do the film? Are they going to do all 6 books in one film, or are they going to do book by book?
Well, at the moment, they're planning to do Wolf Brother. And the script I've seen sticks pretty closely to the story of Wolf Brother. It brings
Good.
in a few things from other books, but not very much. So I think that's good. And it sounds like you agree with that. Now, it could change because, of course, it's up to the film people what they do, and they haven't made the final decision yet whether to make the film. So you know what film people are like. They change things sometimes because they suddenly realize, oh, it needs to be like this. So it could change, but that's the answer at the moment.
Nice.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. Great question. Sounds like you've got another question.
I've got one last one. In the
Yep.
in the cave where they got the second bit of the Nanuak.
Oh
in
yes,
Wolf Brother.
the stone tooth. Yep.
Yeah. What was the sucking, gulping earth? I don't quite understand what that was.
Ah, yes, the sucking earth that Torek is sort of scrabbling around in. Is that the question? Yeah. I can tell you what that is because he's down in this cave, and there are loads and loads of bats in this cave. They're like bats, but he thinks they're sort of bat demons almost. They're watchers. And when you're in a cave and there have been bats living in a cave, and maybe the watchers are as well as the bats. So, they're not just bats, but there are certainly lots of bats in the cave. And when bats have been in a cave, lots of them, thousands of them, for many, many years, their droppings, their poo, falls to the bottom. And you get these huge piles of very, very smelly, it's like sort of thick sand. And actually it's really dangerous. And so, sometimes scientists go in with breathing apparatus because otherwise they die of the ammonia and the fumes coming off. So that's why Torek is starting to feel really weird. And when he sees the red, the black flame and that sort of thing. So that's a nice question.
I've heard about it before.
Aha, you're familiar. Okay, so that just gives you that little bit in the puzzle.
Yeah. Okay,
Impressive.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's been a great pleasure talking to you both. Nice talking to you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Let's try. We did very well with Norway. Let's try going just a little bit further, actually, shall we?
It's amazing that we can do this.
Isn't it just? Now we are trying.
Well, you can do this. I can't. But...
Hello. Hi. Who are you and where are you?
I'm in Singapore.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I'm in Singapore.
You're in Singapore? A long way away. Well, welcome. Very good to talk to you.
Hi, I really love your book.
Fantastic. Have you read them all?
Yeah, all of them. It's my favorite series.
Superb. I'm really delighted. That's excellent. Did you have a favorite book? Was one of them more favorite than the others?
No, I love all of them. All.
Great. Well, I don't have a favorite either.
Yeah. I don't really have a question to ask you, but I just want to say that thank you for writing all the books, and please continue writing them.
Well, thank you very much for that. It's very encouraging. I have finished with the 6th book. I have finished Torek's story, but I am continuing to write stories, and I'm planning another series, not with Torek, but with some different characters, but still very long ago, and set in a slightly different part of the world. So I will be continuing to write stories. So I really hope you like them.
And I really look forward to reading them.
That's wonderful. And thank you. What time is it in Singapore? I can't work it out, but it's
11 p.m.
I thought so. So many thanks for staying up so late. I'm normally in bed asleep by 11 o'clock. So thank you for tuning in. That's
very
great.
Cool. Very
wonderful.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right, now let's keep calling. This is going to White Spirit Rose. We're doing very well so far, aren't we? The internet gods are with us today.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, should I not say that?
Something's going to happen. No.
Okay. Hello. Is that you, White Spirit Rose?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic.
Hello?
Nice to hear you.
Hi. Excellent. Where are you calling from?
This is amazing.
It is pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Are you calling from the States or?
No, I'm calling from Scotland, actually.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Fantastic. Which part of Scotland then? The islands or?
Glasgow.
Okay.
Just down in the, can't remember what it's called, Midlands?
Yep. Fantastic. Well,
it's quite sunny today, so not the typical Scottish weather.
No, I think you're having better weather than we are, actually. But there we go, which is only fair, I think. So, yeah. So,
well, the main question I wanted to ask, if you don't mind me moving on,
sure.
Was about your new book, because I haven't looked around that much, but from what I can see on the clan, there's not much information about it. It would be good if you could tell us.
Yes. Well, the new book, and this is a one-off book. This is not the new series, which is, still in the future. But the new book, I will be telling you a lot more about it.
In just a few minutes.
In just a few moments.
Yeah.
So I think what I'd better not do is tell you. Because so if you can just hang on for a few minutes or so, when I'm told by admin, then I'll tell the clanners, the clanners, more than anybody else has been told
Very
as of
cool.
yet.
Very cool.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Oh.
So not long to
Okay.
wait. So that's
Is this on the clan or on US stream or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's on Ustream. All you have to do is to go to Ustream, turn the volume up when you're on Ustream, take part in the chat, and you will see the new film all about Michelle's next book. You'll see that in a few minutes' time now.
and you'll see me talking about it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've only seen the film once, but I'll be talking about the story.
And Michelle's never spoken about this to
No, I haven't,
anybody
actually.
else.
No.
So this is the very, very first time.
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
So.
Makes you glad to be in the clan.
Oh, excellent. Did you have any other questions? Since I basically refused to
that's
answer your
pretty much
question.
it.
Is that it?
That's pretty much it. Yes.
Excellent. Well, really
So
nice
glad
talking to you.
Talk to you.
It's fantastic. It's really nice talking to you as well. And I'm going to be in Scotland. I'm coming up to Scotland actually in September. I'm going to be at the Stirling Book Festival. We'll put details on the clan, but always happy to come to Scotland.
Nice.
So thanks for calling in.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Let's try just one or two more now before we get to the climax, I suppose, of this afternoon, which is the world premiere of the film about your next book. Let's try speaking.
It's only a short film, so don't get your hopes up too much.
Yeah, it's quite short.
Yes, I
it's
don't
short
want
and
to.
sharp.
Yeah.
All right, now we're hoping to go to the United States. Hello.
How are you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Good to hear you.
Hello, and who am I talking to, and which part of the States are you from?
This is Timothy from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, fantastic. Hello, Timothy. I'm Michelle. It's really great talking to you.
Hey, Timothy, can I just say hello? This is admin. I can see you pretty well, and it looks like you're in a car.
I actually am. I had to drive about an hour and a half to find a proper internet area.
Oh, wow.
And I finally found a library, but the library's closed, so I'm sitting outside of the library.
That is so intrepid. That is amazing. And on a Sunday, that is really, really intrepid. Gosh, I'm impressed, Timothy. So,
Are you in the wilds or something? Because if there's no Wi-Fi there, you must be really out in the back of beyond.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. It's kind of out on the edge of town, but it works.
Wow, I'm very impressed. Well, now we get to talk thanks to your technological know-how. So, have you've read all the books, Timothy, or some of them?
I have. I actually just finished the last one like 2 weeks ago. It was very exciting.
Oh, excellent. Well, we have to be careful about spoilers because I've talked to some people who haven't actually read it yet. But did it end in a way that you liked the ending? Found it satisfying?
I loved the ending. And I told all my friends I was nervous the whole way through. I didn't know what you were gonna do, and it ended. And I told all my friends, I said, the little happy fuzzies that you get that bubble up inside you, you get that at the ending.
Good. I'm so glad. And I'm so glad that I kept you worried as well. My evil plan worked. But
It was very nervous the whole way through.
Good. So did you have any questions you wanted to ask me about Chronicles or anything else for that matter?
Well, I did have a question, which again, I'm sure you've answered for someone
Doesn't matter.
somewhere. I just don't know. Is why did you choose wolves specifically?
Well, it is a really good question. I mean, partly I didn't choose wolves. I've always loved wolves, and I don't really know why that is. But so, if it was a question of what did I want to write about? I wanted to write about a boy and a wolf. But then there was a little bit more calculation to it than that, because when I started thinking about a story of a boy and a wolf, I realized that a wolf is a really great choice of companion, because they are extremely clever. They're very similar to people in the way they behave, their pack mentality, and they're quite fierce. So, having a wolf as your friend is a lot more use than, say, having a deer or a horse. Now, I like horses as much as the next person, but they're not that brave. They're not that bright. They're certainly not as bright as a wolf, and they tend to run away when things get tricky. So, for technical reasons, a wolf was actually a really good choice. But also, I happen to love wolves. And I think that's maybe because when I was a baby in Africa, my parents had a great big Alsatian, you would call him a German Shepherd, or her a German Shepherd. And so I grew up with a big wolf-like dog who was great to me, and treated me like her cub. And so that memory maybe is why I sort of thought of wolves. But also, they are traditionally man's best friend sort of thing. Not like dogs, but, hunter-gatherers have a great respect for wolves because they are like people. They live in packs, they look after their kids. And so there's a long tradition of respecting wolves and working with them. So that's a nice question. That's a good one.
Neat.
Yeah.
Timothy, thank you so much for driving an hour. Really appreciate you doing that to take part.
Can we just ask Timothy, since he has driven so long, have you got any other questions? Because you can have one last question if you like, because he has driven a long way.
The only other question would be how I loved how you came up with Wolf's words like "not breath" or "the bright beast that bites hot."
Yeah.
How did you come up with those? Because they're very primitive, but then extremely intellectual.
Thank you. Well, it's very strange. That was, I'm a planner. I plan everything, but that was the one area I couldn't plan. The only way I could come up with it was I actually had to be Wolf. So in each scene, I didn't know beforehand. For example, I actually remember thinking, what on earth is Wolf going to call the soul? But I didn't know beforehand. But when I was being Wolf and I was writing the bit from his point of view, I thought, okay, it's the breath that walks. So that just comes when you put yourself in the skin of a wolf. Very, very strange, very mysterious. But I'm glad you like that. So I think I'm being moved on by admin here. But thank you so much for driving all that way and using your technological know-how. Great to talk to you, Timothy.
Fantastic.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Timothy.
Lovely talking to you.
Take care.
Bye. And drive carefully.
Okay.
I
Now,
will do.
Thank you.
Now, what I want to do next is let's try to get two, because we've got so many people coming online now who do want to talk to you.
Yeah, sorry.
I want to speak to two people. Let's see if
I
we
thought
can...
Timothy was a bit of a special case.
Timothy was very
that
special.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. He deserves a special
really
number one
quite,
fan title.
impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay.
Especially as I think it's tornado season in Texas at the moment.
Oh my
but,
goodness. Is it really?
Or maybe they're out of the tornado alley, as it were.
Yes.
Yes, I think they are.
You better keep moving, Hadley.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, now we have, I hope, two calls here. Is Scar there? Hello.
Yes, you took your time.
Hell, I certainly did.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
It was my fault, Scar. We had a reader who'd driven an hour and a half in Texas, and so I gave him an extra question. So sorry about that. Apologies. This is Michelle,
All right.
by the way. Hi.
All right, you've got your moment now.
Hello, Scar, rather. It is Scar, isn't it? Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Whoops, we're getting a bit of interference.
Yeah, we are. Is that the Digi Destin girl there? Hello? Yeah, I can't hear you, actually. I'm going to ring off and I'll call you back in a moment. So it's just Scar talking to Michelle.
Let's try again with Scar. Have you got a question, Scar?
I met you twice, both at the Bath, your Bath talking, and at the Soul Eater launch. And I'd just like to say that I think it's great how you bring along your aids for your writing and how you talk so much about what you've done. It's really helpful to all the readers and everything like that. And
Good.
It's also lovely to see how much you enjoy writing. But I also just like to ask, just quickly, sorry, what is the dirt on admin?
Whoa.
What is the? I missed the key word. I
think that word was dirt. Low dirt.
What is the dirt on admin? You know, who is admin?
Well, admin doesn't exist.
Admin does exist. He's sitting right there. Admin is. You mean who is he? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. Sure. Well, admin, I'm allowed to say this, aren't I? I'm not going to reveal your name, but he's actually my agent. He's multi-talented. And so he does things like organises my deals, all the stuff that I don't like to do. But he also does all this horrible technical stuff because I'm sitting in front of a tripod. You can't see it, but I'm sitting in front of a tripod and I'm staring at a camera. And then behind that camera is admin, and he's got this enormous bank of sort of buttons and things like that, and about 5 screens, and he's really technical. So he keeps the whole thing going, keeps the website going, because if it was down to me, there wouldn't be a clan, I'm afraid, because as you know,
I got to say, it's actually the clanners, and particularly the clan guardians, who keep the website going.
The other particular thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just talking about the technical side. You keep the technical side going, but the actual beating heart of the clan are the guardians, and they're the ones who really patrol it and keep it all running. Yeah. My excuse, Scar, for not running it and for relying on admin is that I spend most of my time in prehistory. I don't spend much time in the present day, and it would be a bit hard for me to do anything to do with the internet when I'm sitting around in prehistory. So good question. There we go. Somebody had to ask that question, didn't they?
I don't know. I like that. Like to remain anonymous. Really.
Yes. No, we won't be turning the cameras on him. You wouldn't like what you saw.
You absolutely wouldn't. It would scare you. Actually, you may be a bit scared by what's coming up in a few minutes. You may be. Thank you very much, Scar.
Thanks very much for that. It's a nice one.
Now, we are just going to try one more time. We didn't have a lot of success with the technical quality of this call. Let's just try one more time.
It's a bit suspenseful.
Yeah, I don't.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. You're talking to Michelle.
Hello.
You're talking to Michelle.
Hello. And who are you?
I'm Francesca.
Fantastic. Well, I'm Michelle. This is great. I'm so glad we got through to you. So this is brilliant. So are you calling from the UK or?
Yeah, the UK.
Fantastic. Well, do you have a question that you'd like to ask me or something you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I was wondering, do you, out of all the characters you've written about, do you have a favourite? Or
it's always difficult choosing favourites because whenever I'm writing a particular character's scene, I sort of become that character, and so quite often they're my favourite at that moment. I mean, I love writing some of the Soul Eaters. You know, I really liked writing Seshru. And I really enjoyed writing Aostra and Thiazi and Tenris. And then Finkedin is one of my great favourites because he doesn't have big scenes in the story, but they're really, really important. And he's like the sort of moral centre. And Bale, I always feel very guilty about Bale, but very, very fond of him. And then there's Torek, of course, and Ren and Wolf. So I'm practically going to have to name all the characters in the story. As you can see, whenever I'm writing about them, they become my favourite. Having said that, if you said, no, you must, Michelle, choose one, then it would probably have to be Wolf. Partly because it's really fun writing from an animal's point of view, from a wolf's point of view. So for a writer, it's just exciting. And also partly because I'm very attached to the individual, the character, Wolf. He's become my friend as much as Torax. So yeah, but favourites are tricky because they change. Do you have a favourite? Have we still got you, Francesca?
I can actually see Francesca, but I can't hear her. Something funny is I think
I
something
hope she
weird
managed
happened.
to.
Yeah,
I hope you managed to hear that.
She's waving, but we were lucky to get any sound. I'm actually going to hang up now because it sounds horrible.
Well, sorry, Francesca. I hope you managed to catch some of that question. Thanks for asking it, and thanks for coming online.
Yeah. So now let's try another one. Again, I'm not totally sure that this is going to work technically, because Kiwi hasn't tried a microphone yet. Hello, Kiwi. Hello. Anybody there? No.
Well, I'm really impressed with all of you for even managing to do this. I wouldn't be able to do it. So.
Exactly.
And there will be other times. So.
Yeah.
So sorry, Kiwi. But...
Don't worry. Now I'm getting messages like mad from everybody. What I would like to do is to ask you actually a question I should have asked actually a few minutes ago, because remember in a few moments' time we are going to be premiering the film about dark matter. But before we do that, I do want to ask you a question that was really to do with the marks, and this is by Lone Tree. How big? I'm going to ask you both of these at once because they are very, very similar questions. How big is Torak's outcast tattoo, and how big are death marks, which I think people have seen, and does the size vary from person to person or from clan to clan?
Well, I'll take the death marks first. Nice question. Death marks first. Well, they do tend to vary because depending on how big you are. I drew one a little earlier on my hand. If I was drawing a death mark on, for the name cell on my forehead, it would be about this size. But it doesn't matter too much. I mean, there's not a critical size. The main point is to draw the marks on the forehead, the breastbone, and then the heels. Torak's Outcast 2. I'm really glad you asked that question. It's not that big. This is, on his chest. Sorry, by the way, just so that I'm mentioning this in case you've been wondering what this is a seal claw necklace. But the Outcast 2 would probably be about that size. It's not that big. And I'm really glad you mentioned this, particularly because on the cover of the French edition, it's absolutely enormous. It practically covers his entire chest.
Wow.
And that's always slightly bothered me because... and this is a slight spoiler, so if anyone hasn't read Outcast, you might want to shut your ears, but there's a bit when Torak has to cut the tattoo out, and if it's absolutely enormous, he'd be in a really bad way. So it's not that huge, but it's big enough.
That's big enough.
Sorry, although I may have misunderstood your question, because I'm thinking of the tattoo which was the whole point of him being cast out.
Yeah.
But the tattoo on his forehead, which actually showed that he was an outcast, is quite small. So this is the third limb of the question. It's quite small. So if your question, maybe a subsidiary question is, well, if he's got this tattoo, then, when the time comes and he's old, how on earth do they draw the death marks on? Doesn't matter. You just draw it on over the top.
Got it.
So there we go.
Yes.
So different.
Enough of the death masks.
Yeah. Well, they're very important things.
Yeah. All right.
So I hope that was clear. So it was the Soul Eater tattoo, of course, on the chest.
That is cool. Hello, is that you, Michael?
Yeah, that's me.
Good to hear you. You're coming over loud
and clear. Hello,
Very
Michael.
good.
Sorry, I'm still whittering on about tattoos, but good to talk to you. Are you calling from the UK or somewhere else?
Yeah, I called you last time.
Brilliant.
Remember, I got the books mixed up about Bale. If you remember
Well,
that.
there you go. Well, I've just got the tattoos mixed up, so, we're equal on that one. It happens to the best of us. I always go back from these things home in the evening and I think, oh, no, I should have told them about that, or I got that wrong, and, this sort of thing happens. But have you got a question for me?
Yes, I've got a question.
Brilliant.
It's how did you think up Ren's character? Because did you always know that she and Torak would eventually become what they are at the end of the last book?
Very nice, non-spoiler coded question.
Yeah, given how hard she was towards him in the first book.
Yeah. I didn't quite know how it was going to end up. Ren's character, a small part is based on me, because I'm a very critical person and I don't suffer fools gladly. I am suspending my critical faculties for this, so don't worry, anybody. But yeah, that sort of critical aspect. it comes from me. But then very early on, she became her own character. So I don't really know where I got her. You know, you don't sort of go and pick bits from different people and then stick them together to make a character. You know, it's very strange. So she just became her own character very quickly. I knew when I was writing Wolf Brother that she would become Torek's friend. So even though she was pretty nasty to him to begin with, although she was fairly fair, I mean, she gave him that elderberry drink.
Yeah.
You know, I knew they were going to be friends by the end of Wolf Brother, and I knew there was going to be feeling between them. I did, however, for most of the series, envisage a different ending to Ghost Hunter. That something, you know, it wouldn't turn out between Torag and Ren the way it did. And it was writing Oathbreaker that I began to realise that this isn't going to work. You know, she's just not going to have it. So
too dark.
Yeah, and it's just not in character. You know, you can't push your characters to do something that you, the storyteller, want to do when they are going to stand up and say, "No, wait a minute." And so then I that was a big change. So thank you, Ren. And thank you, Michael, for asking the question.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Michael. Now I'm going to try something we haven't done before.
Oh gosh, I hate it when he says this.
I'm going to try calling 3 clanners all at once, because these are probably the last 3 calls we're going to make before the premiere. Somebody's listening. Hello. Who's that?
Hello.
Hi. Now, can I just ask you, if you're actually listening to the audio at the moment on Ustream, or on Radio Lutopia, actually, which is also running this live, can you mute your volume on that? Otherwise, you'll hear everything just a few seconds later, and it will drive us all mad. So,
okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
that's
cool.
okay. That's fine.
Cool. So, we've got 3 people online. I think.
Fantastic.
No, actually, we've got 2. So, first of all, we've got Lokay. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah. I'm in the US. Right
You're in the States. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
And we've got Tall Tailless as well. Hello, Tall Tailless.
Hi.
Hey, and where are you?
I'm in the UK.
You're in the UK. Fantastic. Now, I was trying to get Ghost as well. I'm going to keep trying to get Ghost online. Not easy to do. In the meantime, Lokay, you talk to Michelle.
Well, let's talk to Lokay first of all. So where in the States are you?
I'm in the Midwest.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, it's great to talk to you. I can't work out, what time is it? It's in the morning where you are, presumably. Is that right?
What?
It's in the morning where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's in the afternoon where I am. Excellent. Well, have you read all the books then, Lokay?
Have not been able to read Ghost Hunter. It hasn't come out where I am.
Okay. Well, then I'm glad we haven't got any spoilers. We haven't spoilt anything for you, so we'll be very careful about that. Do you have any questions or comments you'd like to make on the other books then, the ones you have read?
I'd actually like to go ask something about wolves. When you first saw them, how did you feel when you saw them? Like, were they amazing to see? Because I'm really interested in wolves and I've never actually seen them.
Brilliant. Well, I hadn't seen them in the wild, and I still haven't actually seen them in the wild because, of course, they're very elusive. I mean, I think you can probably get lucky in Yellowstone these days. But the first time I went to see wolves was in the Wolf Reserve, where I've done all the research. And it's a good question because I'd studied them, I'd read all the books about them, probably like you had. And so I knew what to expect. And I remember thinking, and I was writing Wolf Brother at the time, and I remember thinking, well, am I going to be disappointed? Is it going to be an anticlimax? Are they just going to seem like big dogs? And it was so not an anticlimax because I met these 2, I think there was some footage of them earlier, and I got very close to them and because I knew a little bit of wolf communication, very basic stuff, not like Torak, but, I could get very close to them and they were very nice and calm with me and it was magic. There is something about wolves. They are not dogs. They are 20% cleverer and it shows, and they have this tremendous dignity about them. They're not all over you like a dog. I mean, I love dogs, but a wolf will say hello to you once and then they'll go off and they won't say hello to you again because they've done it. And there's so much intelligence in those golden eyes. So it was not an anticlimax. It was magical, and I went home on a complete high, and it lasted for days. And I had a little bit of fluff from their undercoat. You know, you can at certain times of the year you can pull it off. It doesn't hurt them, and I kept smelling it, and they have a lovely smell. So I hope you get to meet them. Maybe in a wolf reserve. I know there's some wonderful wolf reserves in America, and I suspect it'll be fairly impressive when you do.
Wow!
Right.
And Tall Tales, you've been waiting patiently.
Yes.
Have you ever met a wolf?
I've seen them in zoos and that, but not up close. I think it's amazing the connection that Torak has with wolf.
Yeah, he's lucky, isn't he?
Yeah, how it's portrayed in the story and that. How he comes back like after Wolf Brother.
I'm really glad about that because, yeah, I mean I think in a way it's what we all want, isn't it? To be very close to an animal and to really be able to communicate. I mean, some of us can to some extent, but with something as amazing as a wolf, I would love it. I think that's partly why I wrote the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any particular questions, Tortalis, you wanted to ask?
Have you always wanted to be an author, like when you were young?
Have I always wanted to be an author? Not really. I've always liked writing stories, and there is a difference. So I've always written stories since I was much younger than you, and I wrote stories at school and things. But it only occurred to me that I could actually make my living, out of being a full-time author when I was at university. And I tried, I sent off a story I'd written and to a publisher and said, please publish it. And they sent it back and said no, because it's quite hard to get published. So it took me many years of trying. So no, it was only when I was, in my 20s that I thought, that would be fun. So it took a while, but it is mostly good fun. I mean, this is really great fun. Talking to readers and talking to clanners is great.
Can I just say, the first time I met a wolf was with you, actually, when...
oh, yes.
Yeah, when they brought a couple of wolves right into the centre of London.
Yes.
To meet some readers directly. And I was amazed.
And those were just cubs.
They were cubs.
Yeah. Quite big cubs.
They are very, very different from dogs, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Very different.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they don't want to play fetch or anything, do they?
No, they don't.
They're in charge. They're the bosses, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are. And they have this presence about them. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow. That's fantastic. Tall Talers, thank you so much. Loki, thank you so much.
Yes.
Either of you got any other quick questions? Or shall we go on for the premiere now of the film? What do you think?
What was the hardest part to write in the whole entire series? Did you ever have any trouble with a certain part?
I had trouble with each of the books. Each book falls apart in its own way. A particular problem I remember was the first chapter of Spirit Walker, because Wolf Brother had come out, had been really successful, and I'd written the whole of Spirit Walker, and I knew it was a good book, but I didn't quite have a good beginning. And if you remember Spirit Walker, it starts off, with what you've got to explain to the reader. What I had to explain was this horrible sickness that is attacking the clan. Now, it's one thing when in Wolf Brother, when you've got a great big bear, that's something you can talk about. But how do you excitingly introduce a sickness on the first page of Spirit Walker? And I didn't have a clue. And it was like an exam, was coming up, and I knew I didn't have the answers. And about 3 weeks before I had to give the story into my editor and publisher, I was in a yoga class of all things, and I was all relaxed at the end. And that quite often you get ideas, and that's when I got the idea, don't worry about the sickness yet. Have an animal, have an auroch, which is like a great big wild bull. And that will be a nice way of getting into the story. And then you can have the sick man, crazy man, shooting at or trying to attack the auroch. But that was a bit scary. Not having a beginning for your second book is something I remember as not being very nice. So yes, nice question that. Thanks.
Very cool. Thank you very much indeed for calling.
Yes, thanks both of you.
We're going to say goodbye, but don't go away because...
Yeah, bye to both of you.
We are building up now. No, we're not building up. We've been building up. Now is the moment. It's the moment that everyone's been waiting for. It's probably the biggest moment in any audio or video podcast that we've ever done, because we're going to unveil to your loyal and dedicated readers, the clanners, what your next book is going to be. And I think everybody knows what the title is. It's Dark Matter. The publisher was so excited about this that they made a special short film. It is quite short. We'll show it a couple of times. And after that, well, we'll take a few questions. Not too many questions, just one or two. And then we'll ask Michelle to talk about it a little bit as well. Just a little bit, because it's not going to be published for a few months yet. So here we are, just for Clanners. This is the world premiere of a film about dark matter.
Dear Dr. Murchison, forgive me for a rather belated reply to your letter. To be blunt, I find it hard to entertain your inquiry with any pleasure, as it evokes painful memories. Our expedition crippled a friend of mine and killed another. Forgive me if I question how you propose to understand what it can do to a man to overwinter at Gruhook. The endless dark, the loneliness. I don't think we will ever learn the truth, but I know enough to be convinced that something terrible took place. Whatever happened, Dr. Murchison, was not the result of some phobic disorder. It was real.
Wow. I think we have to tell everybody for a start that this is a book written for older people.
Shall I just sort of put the thing in context before we have questions? Because that may have come as a bit of a surprise to you, because it's obviously not set in prehistory, is it? Let me just go back to last year when I'd just finished Ghost Hunter, and I knew that I had another series to come that I wanted to write, set in prehistory, but I knew that I couldn't go straight into it. I needed a break, but I still wanted to write. So what I did last year was I wrote what I've always wanted to write, and that's a ghost story. Not a horror story, a ghost story. And that's Dark Matter. Now, Dark Matter, as I said, is not set in prehistory. It's actually set, the trailer is 1947, but the story starts 10 years before in 1937. It's 2 years before the Second World War. And the hero, to give you a bit about the story, is a young lad called Jack, and he hates his life. He's a Londoner. He lives in London. He's got no family, no friends, no money, and he hates his job. And so when he's given the chance to go on an expedition to the Arctic, he jumps at it. Now, the aim of the expedition is 5 young men and 8 husky dogs, not wolves, but huskies get in there, are going to spend a year in a very remote, isolated bay in the north part of Spitsbergen, which, as some of you may know, is a group of islands. It's also called Svalbard, way north of North Norway. This is really the Arctic. And at first, everything goes really, really well on the expedition. It starts off in the summer. So this, of course, is the land of the midnight sun. It doesn't get dark during the summer for months. And when they arrive at Gruhoken in this isolated research station, it's beautiful. There are seals basking on icebergs in the bay, thousands of seabirds. It's fantastic. Jack loves it. Then things start to go wrong. One by one, his companions have to leave. And very soon he finds himself desperately trying to keep the expedition going on his own, with only the husky dogs for company. Then he realizes that he's not alone, because something walks in Gruhoken on the black beach among the giant bones of the whales. Gruhoken is haunted. And now winter is coming. The midnight sun no longer shines all the time. The endless light is gone. The nights are drawing in. And with the darkness, the ghost gets stronger. And now Jack realizes that soon he's going to be trapped in the dark with the ghost. because there's going to come a time when there is no more daylight. As soon as when it's daylight, he's safe. But the nights are getting longer and longer, the daylight's getting shorter and shorter, and soon there's going to be no more daylight. And Jack is going to be trapped in the deep of the polar night, which lasts for months. So that's just a little bit about Dark Matter, but I should just end on a note of caution, because I did write it as an adult ghost story. Now, many of you I've talked to, and I know are almost adults, so that's fine. You're young adults or you're almost adults. But some of you are a bit younger. And I'd say to those of you, anyone who's sort of 12 and under, maybe wait a year or two before you read Dark Matter. Or if you're in any doubt, just check with a parent or an older sister or a brother before tackling it. It's coming out on the 21st of October in this country, just in time for Halloween, which is, I think, a good time for a ghost story. So that's just a health warning for younger readers. But for everybody else, I should just say, well, the only reason I wrote Dark Matter is to scare the living daylights out of you.
Whoa.
So you have been warned.
Yes, we have been warned. Should we have another look at it? Should we look at the second time premiere? Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Dear Dr. Murchison, forgive me for a rather belated reply to your letter. To be blunt, I find it hard to entertain your inquiry with any pleasure, as it evokes painful memories. Our expedition crippled a friend of mine and killed another. Forgive me if I question how you propose to understand what it can do to a man to overwinter at Groohook. The endless dark, the loneliness. I don't think we will ever learn the truth, but I know enough to be convinced that something terrible took place. Whatever happened, Dr. Murchison, was not the result of some phobic disorder. It was real.
Wow. Well, we've got a good reaction in the chat room. My goodness me, people are busy in the chat room indeed. Yeah, where do we start? Spazaroth says the tone of Michelle's voice makes it sound pretty creepy.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yes, and somebody else says Michelle should read the audiobook. Midnight's Wolf says, I have doubts about reading that book now for the sake of my sanity.
I have to say, I finished it. I finished writing it over Christmas and New Year, which is a bit of a scary time anyway, and I didn't sleep very well at all. I really didn't. It was a strange and rather disturbing experience writing it.
Half-Blood Ryan says, love it, love it, love it. Wow, oh, freaking, wow.
Fantastic,
we can say
Half-Blood
freaking,
Ryan.
can't we?
That's
yeah, we
great.
Can say freaking.
Yes, of
That's
course
all right. No problem there. Twilight Wolf says, I walked to school in the dark and walked home in the dark with wolves in the forest, moose and bear. Oh, my. Yeah.
Well, I think wolves, moose and bear are preferable and friendly compared to what's in stake.
Yeah, and Michael says, rah! So we've got a lot of comments like that, so rah! type comments. And I would say a lot of people are really keen to start reading this, actually.
Well, I think one of the things I should say is that, although it's very different from Chronicles and it's not set in prehistory, there's some continuity because there is a large wolf-like dog in there. There's a husky dog. I couldn't help it. But also it's set in the Arctic. And I've been around Spitsbergen and it's so there's a feeling there that it's not entirely different.
Fantastic. Right, so there we go. We've scared the pants off you already, and the book's not even out yet. Goodness gracious me. So many people will be having nervous breakdowns come October. But we don't want to leave all the clanners feeling scared. What I like to do, actually, is to just remind you that we have launched now the biggest contest that the clan has ever had, right? Now, if you joined us later, if you had some problems with your audio, we are launching the Clan Virtual Museum, and this is how it went. Yes, that is the Clan's virtual museum that we will be declaring open in probably about 6 weeks, 8 weeks' time, when we've got lots and lots of entries from the museum from you. And it's kind of an unusual competition in some ways, because we're divided into 2 age groups, over 13 and under 13. There are going to be 10 fantastic prizes for each age group. So the 10 best entries, and the over 13s will get a wonderful prize, and the 10 best entries and the under 13s will get a really wonderful prize too. But everyone's entry will actually go into the museum, and it's going to be preserved online, well, forever, ever and ever. So if you've got fond memories of the series and you want to make something that really meant something to you, an object, it might be a weapon, who knows, there's some ideas there. Michelle's given you some ideas in the Clancast, which incidentally is going to be available on video in, well, the next few hours actually on the Clan. They might inspire you. I should also tell you the Clancast is going to be available as a podcast too, just audio. And, well, it's now up to you, really, to decide what you want to put into the Clan's virtual museum as your piece of Chronicles of Ancient Darkness history. It's good. It is the biggest contest we've ever done. It's also the most important contest we've ever done. And we're kind of looking backwards, but we're also looking forwards too, to the next book that you now are the first people on planet Earth to know anything about.
Well, I went all tearful again, actually, hearing that music and then seeing all the pictures from Chronicles. What if it's only me? Oh dear. Anyway, I just want to say I'm really impressed with all your questions. You've asked things. You still come up with things that I haven't been asked before, and even the questions I have been asked before, you've asked in different ways. You're all amazingly technologically minded. I'm really
Callie,
impressed
I've got to
with
tell you,
that.
I've got to interrupt you. Callie Malik says, we're all crying, Michelle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel slightly better, because I really was.
And Ouch93 says, I think we all need to have a group hug.
Yeah, I know. It's just, oh, dear,
Yeah.
dear.
And Spazaroth says, even Michelle thinks the music is epic. I don't know why even Michelle.
Yeah, I do.
Half-Blood Ryan says, Michelle, big smile. It's not just you, lol. The comments are coming in so fast, I can't keep up with them. Callie Malik says, group hug, guys. White Spirit Rose says, I agree. Niggling Nog says, I love that Michelle loves the music as well. Twilight Wolf says, twiddles thumbs nervously.
Yeah, actually, I've been doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Tall
because
Taylor says, this is great. Epic. Wolfie Cool says, I'll join in. Scar Wolf says, lol, yes. Ouch. And Ouch says, yes. So
wow, it's amazing to get all that reaction.
It's all happening. Yeah.
It's been fabulous talking to you, and obviously we'll do this again at some point. And to all of you who sort of talked to me, fantastic, well done, because I was nervous too. But I think we all did really well. And to those of you who just felt like listening or watching and not actually talking, that's cool too. It's been really, really great.
There are more than one or
we've
two
got some more
questions that I didn't get a chance to ask you, but I am going to.
Right.
And we're going to do this as an audio podcast. So if you did send in a question and it wasn't answered today live, don't worry, it will be answered.
Yes, it will be picked up,
soon.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scarwolf says Michelle must be so proud to see her work loved by so many people.
It's a very strange feeling. I am incredibly proud, but not sort of personally. I'm actually proud for Torak and Ren and Wolf. It feels like, because now it's out there, it's not mine anymore. It's yours. It belongs to you, every single one of you. So it's not so much pride. It's just sort of, well, it's a different kind of pride. It's not pride in me, Michelle Paver, but it's strange and wonderful. And yes, it's terrific.
Well, I think all that remains, I mean, we obviously could go on all afternoon and all night.
We could, but I'll get all choked
all day
up.
Tomorrow. But we have to bring this to an end at some point, and we've been going on for 1 3/4 hours now. Which I must say, it hasn't seemed like it. Because,
no, it hasn't flown by.
We've spent the time in the company of the best people in the world who are clanners. And I want to say thank you very much to you, Michelle, for basically creating this wonderful world that we all live in now.
A great pleasure.
I want to say thank you very, very much. Souls Fox says, I don't want Michelle to leave. Wolf says, I'll watch it back. Wolfie Cool says, no, don't end it, please.
Oh, it's not the last one.
It's not. No, it's not, actually.
This is not goodbye, this is au revoir.
Exactly. Yeah, we are going to be doing this again. And remember, we've got Dark Matter to look forward to. Yes. And indeed, beyond that, something else too.
Yes.
That Michelle's not really telling you much about. But there is. I can tell you there is something big to look forward to.
As soon as I've got titles and a little bit more, I will be this will be the first place which will be
And in the
held.
meantime, of course, we have all of us got to get busy, please, creating the Clan Virtual Museum. It's your museum. So with that, clanners all over the world, thank you very much for taking part in this fantastic clancast. I want to say a deep heartfelt thank you to all of you.
Yeah.
But if you want to, don't leave the clan yet. Check it in 2 or 3 hours' time.
Yeah.
We'll have full details of the contest, the virtual museum up there. Various audio and video things will be up there very soon too. Particularly the trailer for Dark Matter. That will be up there. You'll be able to share it around, and please do pass it around to all friends, and really get people excited about it. We'd really appreciate you doing that.
Well, it's been great. Thanks very much. Good luck anyone who's got exams or whatever. And it's been great. Thanks a lot. I'm going to get all tearful. So,
And see you soon, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.